Let's talk about. Let's just jump to this story. Actually, let's do this story right here. Check this out. Welcome to the future, my friends. From Timcast.com, Google to begin suggesting inclusive language corrections for writers using docs. I've already noticed stuff like this, all right?
Google Docs.
I'm actually very happy about this because...
Hold on, let me real quick. The aim of the new assistive writing function will be able to help users avoid politically incorrect language. Quote, potentially discriminatory or inappropriate language will be flagged along with suggestions on how to make your writing more inclusive and appropriate for your audience. Incredible.
There's a reason I still use Notepad.
Man. Well, I got to say, I'm actually happy about this because it will let me know that there are more offensive ways to say what I'm currently saying. Like if I didn't even realize a phrase was something people consider to be upsetting, Google will now alert me to that, which I appreciate that. So I could use it more in the document.
You can write it down.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize that made
Oh, this is a no-no phrase. There we go.
I'll save this one for next time. This is the future, though. This is, I mean, Elon Musk is what? 1 inch of pushback against a tidal wave of just insanity.
Well, this is where Ian talking about federated systems being the future is it. Like I can't like, you know, we talk about getting physical copies of media because anything that's on cloud services gets censored to death or just wiped from their servers. Like, you know, think of the movies and how much they've been censored from like 30 years ago. You know, I have a Synology drive at home where I just keep any movie I want to keep that's, you know, been censored.
Well, here's what I find fascinating in the culture war. We don't do blackface. Like people do it ironically as a joke, but there's like no one is legitimately like doing blackface.
It's stupid. It's
right.
Not funny.
However, it used to be culturally relevant. And so we decided as a society, hey, this thing we don't do anymore. It's stupid. Yeah, people don't like it. We're going to avoid it. Now, as for the comedians who mock the idea, we don't do that anymore either because people get canceled. But that's the interesting point. We're at a point now where it seems like something happened. I think it was social media, where you used to have the left pulling all of society slightly leftward as the right just was being dragged behind. Mm-hmm. Everything drifted to the left. Mm-hmm. Something happened where that chain between the left and the right snapped and the left just immediately lunged 100 feet forward. And the right stopped moving and just went, wait, what? Well, now we're seeing the left go absolutely insane. And they're determining that things that are still culturally relevant are no longer culturally acceptable. You end up seeing things like Ethan Klein. He got canceled twice now. Do you guys see this?
Again?
Yeah, because he mocked. So Ethan Klein of H3 got, he lost his sponsors because he said something about gay people that he wasn't actually disparaging them. He just said an incorrect thing. Oh, whoa, well, you can't say that. So he loses his sponsors. He apologized for this. And then like a week and a half later, he then tweets a mock apology, mocking his first apology. So now he's getting flack all over again.
That always goes well.
The point is, he didn't even make a joke about somebody. He made a statement that he thought was relevant. And it turns out the left had already moved and left him behind. Nothing is keeping them from just going off and going crazy further and further off into the progressive distance.
Well, that's what Zuby says. He's like, I'm just a normal guy from 2012. Why am I right wing?
Exactly. So what's happened is, yes, things over time become less culturally acceptable. Some new things become culturally acceptable. Sometimes we go back a little bit. Sometimes we go forward. But at this point, it's like the left is changing culture 10 times as fast as culture normally changed. And we're standing back being like, yo, you guys are nuts. You've gone too far.
You can't change culture into thinking men are women and women are men. Sorry. I mean, at that point, you know.
I'm just going to say it.
The magic fish is out of wishes.
To my theory, things change most quickly when they're falling apart.
Mm-hmm. Maybe the culture is in free fall, so the speed at which we're moving feels like we're driving fast when actually it's just free fall
falling
speeds.
Apart.
Yeah, I mean, they're falling apart, but then on the flip side, they're using all sorts of conservative lingo like triggered and what was it, like patriot takes. They're using the word patriot to claim that they're the patriots.
No, patriot takes is mocking patriots.
I know, but are they?
Yes. Like patriot takes means like a tweet from a patriot. They're mocking you.
Yeah. Right. To be fair, but I think what you are correct about is that establishment Democrat types have sort of co-opted the language of patriotism over the past couple of years.
Right. I mean, like they talk about insurrection and like, you know, that kind of patriotism and like protecting our Constitution. And that's why we need to go after J6. It's like,
well, the purpose of calling it an insurrection was to try to disqualify people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Trump. Right. Because the 14th Amendment specifically says if they waged insurrection against the United States. So they needed the narrative first so that people would believe it. Then they could file the lawsuits and try and get it. The problem is they move too fast. You need a generation to instill an idea that a thing happened. You can't do it in a year. And so the judge in this case, he looks quite the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing where they're trying to disqualify her. The judge looks absolutely. It's funny. If you get your news from the left, man, these people really warp reality. They're like, oh man, the judge is face palming. Oh, it's going so bad for Marjorie. The whole time I'm watching this trial, the judge keeps telling the lawyer against Marjorie. He keeps saying things like, "What are you doing? Where are you going with this? What?" And Marjorie's lawyer's objecting to everything, and the judge just keeps saying, "What are you doing? Like, what is this about?" Because he's asking irrelevant things. He's like, "In 2019, did you tweet this?" And Marjorie's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Aha." And the lawyer's like, how is this relevant to whether or not on January 6th, in or around, she waged insurrection against the United States? And the judge is like, what's the point of that question?
It's like, is this an HR meeting?
I'm trying to establish, it's just remarkably bad.
Yeah, I mean, the Articles of Confederacy was a pretty solid case for the southern states doing an insurrection. I think that's what the 14th Amendment was after, not because somebody tweeted that they didn't believe this election was legitimate or, whatever.
Marjorie Taylor Greene said something like, today is our 1776. And I think she tweeted that in like 2019 or something. And they're like, why would you say that? And she's like, because it's on the state seal. Like we say it all the time. It's a date that means like victory. And
well, you saw they pointed out Nancy Pelosi said the same thing, like about like the summer riots, that this is our 1776.
Really?
Yeah, of 2020.
Wow. That's why I just think it's war, and we're looking at right now for the most part a fifth generational war. So, of course they're going to come out now and they're going to beg. It's that quote we say, and I can never remember the guy's name. That it's like when I am weak. Or when I'm strong, you ask for free speech because it's according to your principles. When I am weak, or it's like you guys have the quote, whatever.
When you're in power, you deny my free speech because it's according to your power. When you are weak, you demand free speech because it gives you power.
When I am weak, I ask for free speech because it's according to your principles. When I am strong, I deny you your free speech because it's according to mine.
Also, did you guys see the part of the hearing where the lawyer asked her if when she said, "We will not go quietly into that night," whether she was quoting Independence Day? It's like, what? So what? If she's like, no, that's not what I was quoting because it's not originally from Independence Day either. It's an old poem.
Yeah.
But he's like, well, that's from Independence Day, right? Which is about the 4th of July. It's like, it's about an alien invasion, dude.
I mean, it is fascinating, though, that he was attacking Marjorie Taylor Greene under the pretext of the 4th of July, 1776, being bad for the United States. It's like, that's our birthday. It's like, could you imagine someone being like, today is our birthday? What does that mean? Are you creating something new to challenge us?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It is.
It's the current state of things.
I get the feeling that it was the 2008, the financial crisis, when Obama bailed out Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. It was basically when it sent everything into a death spiral in this country fiscally, and now people are like, there's no truth but power because money's useless now.
Well, also, I want to say, if you think America should deny its heritage as being a nation which was built upon resisting illegitimate power or a violation of your rights, aren't you the revolutionary? Aren't you the insurrectionist? Because aren't you trying to fundamentally change what this country means and what it's built upon?
So the left was smart about it and seized the institutions first. Now they can claim to be the legitimate institution. Mm-hmm. And you, as someone who upholds the Constitution, are the revolutionary trying to overthrow
their institutions.
That's right.
You, the person who celebrates the people who literally founded the country, want to emulate them in some way. You're the person trying to overthrow the sacred order of the nation. It's ridiculous.
I think it's something the Tea Party really helped enlighten Americans is about how much Obama really politicized the state apparatus in this country and turned it into, a Democrat institution.
Truly one of the darkest presidents we've ever had, Barack Obama. And he's a guy who politicized institutions. We had federal agencies going after right-wing groups. You had the extrajudicial assassination of American citizens. You had the indefinite detention provisions of the NDAA. The lies on top of lies, all with a big smiling face.
But George Bush Jr. was probably worse, and with the Cheney, I should call it the Cheney administration. That was pretty nasty. At least
there was an opposition to George W. Bush. I mean, Obama is still out there demanding that any of his critics be silenced, and that's scary.
Yeah, the American population's response to the Obama presidency was the most disgusting letdown of my life. Really.
And
Yeah,
that's why I say, he's one of the darkest presidencies of, one of the most disastrous, is because under this veil of like hope and change, we got not only the same thing, but many things that were actually worse. Right. So yeah, George W. Bush was much darker. The invasions was probably some of the darkest days that we've seen. And the horrifying things that came out of all that, absolutely. Nation building, for 20 years. Barack Obama was really, really bad following up, but people abandoned the fight afterwards. And that hit me hard. I talk about it all the time.
They put their faith in the leader, which was the biggest problem. Faith in yourself.
I think both administrations were a disaster for the American people. I do dislike Obama and the Obama administration more. I'll say that. However, you made a point about Obama talking about how people who disagree with him should be censored. One thing HW had the decency to do after leaving the Oval Office was to go away. He went away and he said, I'm going to go paint my pictures and spend my life doing that. And we don't hear from him all that often, except for when the left, for whatever bizarre reason, wants to march him out and go, remember when we had good Republican leadership, unlike these evil MAGA conservatives we have now, even though they hated him and he started new wars and was overall a terrible president.
But then there's the scene where like Obama was in a party with Biden and he looked like he's still the president, and Biden is not even vice president. He's like the mascot or something. Like he's just walking around lost while Obama's shaking everybody's hand. And
that clip is, he was looking for someone. So everyone shares. I really can't stand this. You don't need to try to make Biden look nuts. Right. So there's a clip of Joe Biden walking away from like Obama talking with people, and he's looking around all confused because he was supposed to introduce someone to the group and he couldn't find him. And it was like 10 seconds of him being like, where'd this guy go? People grab that and they're like, oh, it's so sad. Look, Joe Biden's lost. And I'm like, dude, come on. You just show him saying Trinidad Shabbat of pressure. You don't need to take a clip of him looking for someone, being confused as to where the person went, act like he's befuddled.
I hear you on that, but on the other hand, given his behavior in the past, doesn't it make sense that upon seeing that clip, a person would assume this is cognitive decline and not him looking for someone?
The problem is when people on the right pounce
and they don't do their research.
Right.
Agreed.
Similar about when he turned, he looked like he was shaking hands with a ghost. They were like, "Come on, he could have just been waving." You don't know that he was actually.
No, he made a deal with the devil, and he was.
I want to jump on that one.
That's the media trying to justify his weird behaviors.
It's tough to tell.
You don't finish a speech and then turn to your right and hold your hand.
Yeah, but he might have been like, wait, he does that thing where he like puts his hands up like halfway.
That makes no sense.
Can you imagine if you did that at the end of a Timcast episode? Just
like
turned and like shook no one's hand.
And
people be like, what did Tim Pool just do? Can we allow people who are experiencing that kind of decline have the power of a podcaster, and yet the president of the United States has it?
The media will rush to the defense of Joe Biden when he does something ridiculous or stupid, and many on the right will rush to say Joe Biden did something ridiculous or stupid, regardless of the context. Typically, though, you don't need to try very hard. That's why I'm like, dude, like Trump, you don't need to make me defend the guy. You can point out things you really want to critique him on and win arguments that way.
Right.
Joe Biden, 9 out of 10 times, does something psychotic, insane, deluded, or deranged. 1 out of 10 times, it's out of context. And it's like, chill on that. We don't need it.
I'm honestly not even saying that. I'm just saying that clip showed how like Obama just seems much more in charge of what's happening in the Oval Office than Joe Biden.
Tim, what was the fake word he said? And it was the one word that describes America.
It was just muttered gibberish. I can't even.
Oh man! But we have to decode that one.
One
word describes America.
You said it well.
Snivel.
It was because he was trying to then change the subject, I guess, to I was hiking the Himalayas with Xi Jinping or something.
I was hiking the foothills of the Himalayas. That's right.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.